Hello, everybody. It's so good to be here with you and to be here with the beautiful Dani. Dani, you have to show them your t-shirt.
There we go. I don't chase and I attract. And on the back of it, it has 1111 new beginnings.
Ah, 111.
And grounding and intuition.
Yes, and the numbers of the angels. I love 111 and I love number 22. And I'll talk more about that in a little while. So welcome everybody to the next in the series of the power of us. And these are conversations for change. And I am in this series with the incredible motivational speakers, the soul-led entrepreneurs, the visionaries, the artists who are coming to join us in the first event, which is on the 22nd of May. And Dani is one of those. And it is an incredible honor to, be welcoming you onto the stage with us. And in your own venue,
Yeah, thank
Club
you.
Quantum.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to
Be a
be.
fabulous get together of people
Yeah,
with the same kind of vision and mission, and everybody is on their journey and their pilgrimage, I suppose, all in
yeah.
one room.
All in one room, exactly. So before we delve into your get vocal journey, your journey of vulnerability, and you sharing your story, uh, I'd like everybody to ground in. We've been doing this at the beginning of everyone, just gently kind of connecting with this space that we're all. Why the power of us is coming about is because we stand for those who couldn't, for the
Mm.
voices of those in the past that couldn't be heard, and now we are ready to be heard. So everybody just feeling that space.
Goosebumps.
Yeah, that space. Yeah, I love that you've got both hands. It kind of feels like little angel wings there, or bird's wings. And then just closing your eyes if that feels comfortable. Just connecting with the breath. And yeah, I'm feeling that ancestry energy coming in. Yeah, for those who couldn't. And I wrote some words actually that I believe is going to be the beginning of my next book. And it was, for those who had their heads cut off, they were speaking their truth, and their vocal cords got shot into the ether just for speaking their truth, just for standing up. And we stand for those from the past to the present and also to the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then just gently, gently coming back into the room. Whatever that felt like for everybody, it's definitely felt powerful for me. So, whew, I think it's going to be a powerful 20 to 25
Resonated
minutes.
massively, actually. Very connected to my background and my ancestry. So I've had the goosebumps all the way through that grounding.
Yeah. And the first concept that I felt was really important for us to go into was this kind of from fear and doubt into empowerment, because
Yeah.
we all have the fear, we all have the doubt, but the difference is for us sitting here today is that we've gone through the pain, we've pushed ourselves out of boundaries. So I'd love for you to share your from fear, doubt to empowerment kind of story, and how what was like what maybe one main moment or experience that helped you to be where you are now and step into your true power. Yeah.
Okay. So I could do this, and I think I will do this for you in regards to your question, as literally a split and a comparison of from then to now.
Mm.
And if we go to the word fear,
Yeah.
and when I think of the word fear, and if I can place myself in a time or space in my lifetime or my time continuum where I felt fear, it would have been when I was about 5.5, 6 years old, just before I was six, actually. In and a bit about my background, coming from a very war-torn country, but I came out of it whilst the war was still happening.
Mhm.
And as a very young child, I remember sitting, sleeping in darkness in a very damp, wet, and cold concentration camp with no electricity. And at night, and I think where the fear was the most predominant was at night, when daytime that was creeping in through all these cracks and windows and doors would disappear, and darkness energies would set in, and the concentration camp was full of women and children. And so everybody, who should have been sleeping was always on guard, waiting for the soldiers to come
Mm.
in. And those soldiers would have been either taking women out to rape these women, hurting people, coming in and kicking children and women while they were sleeping. And I remember the thought process as a child, always thinking, please don't touch my mummy, not my mum or my
Yeah.
grandmother. And it was myself, my brother, my mum, and my grandmother.
Mm.
And every single night as a child, when you go to sleep for days on end with the same fear, it becomes ingrained in you, doesn't it? That becomes a fearful moment for you. So I think that if I was to think back from now to where I think I felt the most fear, and the smells around that, the sounds
Mm.
around that, the screams around that, um, even now, I have this huge trigger moment around feeling cold. The
Yeah.
cold makes me very, very vulnerable.
Mm.
Um, and I try and escape it as much as possible, which is where I think with you, when you're escaping to a warmer climate, I
Yeah.
completely understand it for whatever reason it is that you do it, apart
Yeah.
from obviously wanting the vitamin D. Um, and then I have also developed senses, deep senses. When I'm in the dark, I often don't put the lights on. I feel around. I almost have like a sixth sense of being able to navigate darkness.
Yeah.
And I feel that my sense of smell deepened in that moment of fear. And I believe that these were all survival instincts that
Mm.
at that moment became my kind of top senses, I suppose. So now I've got a real nose, I can smell things on different levels. Um, and I, can navigate very well in the dark. Um, and, even though I'm okay in the cold when I have to be, I prefer to be in the heat, almost a reptilian kind of soul. And I feel like I grew more reptilian in that moment of fear, and that my mind, my body, my soul, my love for my family, my protective kind of element. I'm a very protective person when I care deeply, and the level of empathy I had, not just for my family at the age of 5 or 6 in that
Mm.
moment of fear, but for everybody else, you
Mm.
kind of become protective of a tribe.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Wow.
I felt that the women, the elder women, our mums and our nanas at that time, they were so vulnerable, so hurt and so traumatized, because they suffered the beatings. Their husbands and their children or their sons were taken away, most of them murdered. The women were tortured. My mum was burnt alive on a sofa for quite a lot of the time that they kept her hostage and prisoner in search for my father before we went to the concentration camp. A lot of them were physically bruised, bleeding, cut. A lot of the women had serious infections because the wounds weren't healing. And so, in that moment of fear, um, somehow I then grew this reptilian skin, I suppose, and became someone who, from that moment, thought. And I did this when I was tiny. I remember thinking that was the worst experience that I could ever go through, including watching my father being tortured and taken away from us. From now on, nothing, nobody will ever put me in that position ever again.
Mm.
And that has been the journey to now, and
Yeah.
finding my voice, finding my strength, to pretty much have a coping mechanism where if something is being challenged, or there is a challenge happening, or I'm having a moment where I need to find solutions, I will always find those solutions. But I have to come back to my grounding. So I have to take my deep breaths. I
Yeah.
have to calm myself out of something that could potentially be a trigger,
Yeah.
because now everything puts me back into that moment of survival. And I think if I survive that, I can survive anything. So you see, the coping mechanism
Yeah.
um, has been
Totally.
a journey of understanding that what happened to me was part of my pilgrimage.
Mm.
And it taught me how to survive every other challenge in my life. And not only for myself, but to help those around me, those closest to me, and sometimes even strangers, realize that what's happening to them in that moment might not be the worst thing
Yeah.
for them, and that they have got ways and coping mechanisms out of that. So
Mm.
now, I think I have shed the fear of what people think of me.
Mm.
I've shed that fear of not being able to speak my mind. I've shed that fear of growing up in a Muslim family where I wasn't allowed to have tattoos because it was haram, saying,
Mhm.
hang on a minute, I follow kind of my own path, my own way. I follow what aligns with me and what feels right. And I speak to nature, it speaks to me. I look at the moon, it speaks to me. I follow
Mhm.
moon cycles. I
Yeah.
make ample herbs and potions and medicines of my own. I don't need to turn to someone else to tell me what my body is feeling is not right for me,
Mm.
whether out of all due respect, that be family, friends, the media,
Yeah.
society. So I kind of have this bravery to just speak what I feel, and it's very direct. Either like it or you don't. I
Yeah.
often find that people can't cope with what I've got to say, maybe, or opinions that I may have, based on the life I have lived. I don't like giving opinions not based on something I haven't experienced. That
Mm.
may be an issue they've got with themselves.
Mhm.
So I
Yeah.
think standing in my voice at the moment, I think it's the strongest it's ever been. And yeah, it's really strange when you create this resilience and this ability to just, I don't know, it's like almost like lightning, and it strikes off you. People don't come at that. They go, oh, actually, I might have to listen to what this person has to say.
Yeah. Wow, Dani,
My
thank
goodness,
you.
I've been through it to get to that point.
Yeah, and I love all your reflections. I love the openness and the honesty, and that so many people hide away from the truth. They don't want to hear. They don't want to hear it. And so to hear from, I haven't heard your story being told by you. So thank you so much for for sharing that. And like yeah, people run from it. They don't want to actually acknowledge it. That's the thing. It's not even just about hearing it. It's if we don't see it, then it's not happening. And I loved how you saw it as a pilgrimage. I
Absolutely.
love this concept of the new you learned, and your protectors for you as well learned that reptilian. And I can see the reptilian. I have another friend actually. She lives in Spain, and I always say she's got such gorgeous lizard eyes.
Mm.
And I believe that we have connections with animals. I have friends that speak dragon, that connect in with the dragons, and I feel like this
Daughter's
is,
a dragon in the Chinese calendar. I'm a dragon mother. My daughter's a dragon.
yeah. And I suppose what's just popped into my head there is that some people just, the words poo poo that, or it's not real. But what people can't see, they just automatically think it's not real, or they don't want to again approach it, or embrace it, or welcome it in, because it might be scary, it might be dangerous, and it goes all back into that fear and doubt story. And I love how you said standing in your voice. I wanna just, yeah, I want to go and roll with those words, because it feels really interesting to me, standing in your voice, because we talked in that last question about like your true power, and how how that is for you. So how is it to stand in your voice? What do you mean by that?
That's a good question. And funnily enough, I've been writing a piece called Standing in My Voice and What It Means to Me.
Yeah.
Um, Basically, when it's something that you have to be brave to be able to do, because when you stand in your voice, It means you may say a lot of things that people will not resonate with, or they might be going, oh, I might not have said that, but that person said that. Oh, maybe I'll be open to it and let me explore, or let me ask them more about it. What I do find is that standing in your voice makes you quite a mystery, because people don't know what to expect. So you
Yeah.
don't follow common rules of communication. You
Hmm.
don't follow common rules of, speaking and saying and doing as society has asked you to do, or school systems have taught you to do. You often come out of that and
Yeah.
do things your own way. I always lead with love.
Hmm.
I do not, go out to hurt anybody with my words. Everything is always said from love and empathy and feelings. Um, it doesn't mean that I take, I take everything that comes at me without being slightly defensive. I can be, but I try and take things openly
Hmm.
and then process them
Yeah.
before I give back. But
Yeah.
standing in your voice, so imagine standing in a circle that has like an aura around it, and
Hmm.
it's almost like a shield, but it's like swirling and swirling and swirling, and it's it's
Hmm.
your kind of protective layer that you've worked hard to be able to get, and that becomes your shield, which means you are safe in yourself with your own protective shield to say what you want to say when you want to say it.
Oh,
And anyone who wants to come in, it's almost like the shield goes, if you come with love and openness, you are welcome in. If you
mm,
do not, you're not ready for this yet.
yeah.
So I resonate them off me or towards me.
Yeah.
I attract, I don't chase. So you are either attracted by my energy or you are not.
Yeah.
Um, and I think standing in your voice is almost having your own kind of like portal.
Yeah.
And in that portal, you can say whatever you need to say. Because let me tell you now, the way that we heal and the way that we process,
Hmm.
one of the first elements of that is being able to talk about it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
being able to talk about it, no matter what the person, the people, the
Yeah.
stone wall, the animals have to say, if you can get those words out, if you can open these chakras here
Yeah.
and use the power of your voice,
Yeah.
then, that is the first part to healing on any journey.
Yes.
And
Oh,
only when you truly heal can you continue to talk about it. So, yeah,
yes.
I built like a swirling portal.
Oh, oh, I love it. And
It means to me,
oh, it's just incredible. And I love that you brought up the word safe. I love that you brought up the concept of you have to talk it out.
mm,
So, what the power of us is doing is calling the people in to come in to remember their cells. Remember that the wisdom is within the cells.
power
And
is
we
within
have to
us, right?
yeah, we have to talk it out. So I've been through a talking program, talking out my childhood trauma, talking out the dysfunction, and identifying with other survivors of childhood trauma. And my story is nothing like your story, but of course the damage is done on whatever level
It's
the
your
little person.
story and you are your own superpower. So imagine a few of these portals in the
Yeah.
same room or the same space or
Yeah.
on so you've got all these people with these amazing stories that have got the guts to then share and talk about these stories, and then they start connecting. So imagine the portals connecting, and then you
Yeah.
build a bigger portal and a bigger
Yeah.
portal, and then that drives other people to find their own power and their own voice. And that is exactly what that's what you are doing. That's what you are. I wouldn't even use the word trying or attempting. You actually are physically doing it. You are mentally doing it.
Yeah.
You are seeking the people that you know resonate with that to
Yeah.
create a bigger force that
Yeah.
then compels and allows other people
Yeah.
to stand in their voice. And that is, I mean, that's magic in
Yeah.
itself, and that's how
It's
it
ab-
used to be.
yeah, it's absolute magic.
Power of a tribe, right?
Power of the tribe, the power of community,
Yes.
for sure. I mean, my story with community was you push everybody else away. Let's just keep shoving everything up the hill. I'm just going to take the huge load myself. And then that the 2020 kind of well that was the time that I woke up. There was the seed within me, the star seed within me, really woke up at that time. And yeah, so I wrote a book, and I know that you're a writer as well. And this just there was so much power in writing my story, but then when I went into the studio and created the audiobook, that's when it was a game changer because I can't hold on to anything else anymore.
No.
Exactly. So yeah, I'm finding that newfound. It's like a rod within me.
Mm.
It's just so, and I love, yeah, I love how you've explained it as well. And we all feel it in different ways, but yeah, God, just so beautiful. And of course, I'm a singer. Are you a singer as well? I seem to be attracted.
No, but I can write songs. I'm not a singer, but I do delve into poetry and songwriting sometimes.
Yay! And the power in releasing, the tone as well.
Yes.
And this is something that's, I believe everybody has their own unique tone and their vibration, the frequency that
Yeah.
we've had kind of private conversations about. So you've been talking about standing in your vocal vulnerability, the way that you stand in your voice. Oh, this is just so magical for me. Um, and I'd like to know how that has been like a powerful tool for transformation in your life, with your relationships, perhaps with your children, and your settling where you've settled now, and your business. Because there's been a lot happening since I've known you, since so maybe share a little bit about how the voice has helped to activate those decisions and support you.
Okay. So looking at family first, again, I came from quite a strict background where girls were seen and not heard too much.
Yeah.
Um, when my family came to the UK, I think they quickly saw that we would have to adapt into a very different environment. And with most of the men being killed in our family, only two of our core men surviving, the women had to take power and they had to use their voice to be able to get us children, through a system here that they had no awareness of. It was a whole new life, a whole new country, a whole new language. And not only did I have to find the power of the voice as the oldest girl in a Muslim family within my family in the UK, I had to learn another language to find that voice for
Yeah.
the external community and guide my family in who didn't speak English, only us youngsters did, into helping them survive in this country.
Yeah.
So I think that, first of all, I had to find it in myself to be able to say to my family, okay, I'm not going to study medicine. I'm going to study language and psychology. I'm really respectful of the fact that tattoos may mean one thing in the Muslim culture. However, for me, the story of my life is going on my body in imagery and artwork that I am visualizing and having put on my body, and it all tells a story. It's important to me
Yeah.
because I feel like where I've taken all of the pain out to be able to overcome it, I have put it on my body on the outside as a reminder, but I no longer harbor that victim mentality on the inside.
Yeah.
So that, I would say, would be family.
Hmm.
With my daughter, who's 13 now, I empower her to find her voice in
Yeah.
similar ways that I've managed to do it myself. And I'm seeing in her that she's very capable. She's a wonderful speaker. She sings and writes music.
Yes,
She's
I remember you
very
telling me.
musical. She plays piano. She dances. So her voice comes out in her drawing, very fine art, in all of these magical skills that she has of expression,
Hmm.
which, again, coming from a Muslim family, it was oppression, not expression. So we've all
Yeah.
had to work really hard to make sure that when we've had children, and I say we, I say my cousins, my brother, the next generation, our children, we've had to work really hard to make sure they express as much as possible and don't keep it inside, because the amount of trauma that my mum's generation is portraying now in their health,
Yeah.
mental and physical, because of the way they thought that they had to keep all the trauma they've been through internal,
Yeah.
is really obvious to us, and we're all going, oh my goodness, we don't want to have to deal with this when we're older.
Yeah.
um, so now trying to teach my daughter to bring everything out is empowering her voice. In relationships, I have been through an amazing relationship with my daughter's father, and after that I got into a non-amazing relationship, and I don't often speak about it out loud, but quite an abusive relationship, where I went through about a year and a half of quite heavy mental and physical abuse before I could find the strength and the power in my voice to say, no more of this, goodbye, which I actually did. But that was a huge part of me seeing where my childhood
Mm-hmm.
was still niggling and saying, you need to process some other things, because until you do, the repetitive patterns
Yeah.
are going to keep coming back, and you're going to keep allowing people to do this to you and this to you and this to you.
Yeah.
So then I developed my hand signal, which is no, that's enough. And when that happens, that is my signal of it's enough. That
Mm-hmm.
could happen anywhere. That literally can happen, and it's not aggressive, it's not harmful to anybody, but it's a signal of me where I just say no more, thank you very much. And then I would say
Great.
in business, sorry.
Integrity.
Yeah. And in business, funnily enough, being one of the only women, so I led a company from 10 to 64 countries in 4 years, which is
Mm-hmm.
probably one of my biggest accomplishments in the edtech sector. Being a woman in a man-led world, and in those 64 countries, distributors existed in 30. So 30 distributors covered 64 countries amongst certain regions like Asia, Southeast Asia, Latin America. And out of 30 of us that were directors and CEOs of our own company, 3 of us were women. And
Yeah.
then you can imagine that these 30 directors then had teams and teams of people who we also had to manage, majority men. So finding my voice as a female in business, that
Yeah.
was a great experience, and it was cross global, which means I was a woman in business at the top in the Middle East, North Africa's, Latin America's, Europe, everywhere else, so much so than the UK. And being able to cope with that, and kind of still hold authority, but try and be respectful to all the cultures that I lived amongst. And I did live out in the Middle East and North Africa's. I mean, I was pregnant out in the Middle East, from Saudi Arabia to Qatar to Bahrain to Lebanon. Being a woman out there really taught me a lot about ways to hold my voice, which didn't necessarily mean I was being disrespectful. Such things as in Saudi Arabia, do not do the handshake with a man. That's how you take back your power. Do not look the man in the eyes. That's how you become more powerful. Because the moment you do, significantly, they hold your power and your voice. So it
Mm.
was learning little things like that. When I came back to the UK, because my daughter had to start, I mean, I had to really think seriously about putting my daughter into schools and things like that, and what I would do there. And I was invited back to run a project in London whilst we were living in China at that time. I had to learn the English way of finding my voice and what is and what isn't acceptable. But I still kind of break the rules of what is acceptable. I'm always going to, and I'm very disruptive,
Really.
but in a nice way.
Well, I
That's
am.
been my journey of finding my voice.
Yeah, yeah, and standing up for yourself and learning. My thing has been remembering who I am, because I lost my voice. I became a quiet mouse. I also had a very, very bad relationship. I didn't realize it was. It was with a narcissist, and I was just cowering and getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and giving every part of myself away. And so thank you for sharing that about the relationship, because, I'm very passionate for us to be able to speak about this so that other women can come forth, and they can, even if it is, reaching out to a society or a helpline, to know that there is a way out, and you can find help and you're not alone. So that message, thank you for opening that, and being in trust to share that. And it is like showing kind of like the inner, showing our blood, isn't it? It's like just opening up our skin and going, yeah, here I am. This is me. Blood red raw, you
I
know.
use blood and the visuals of blood a lot in my writing, and I don't know if you've ever read Womb Awakening. It's a book for men and women that I will send you the link to it. That is transcendent and puts us back into our ancestry and our past, and where the connection to our inner power and our wisdom came from, and what has been eliminated and what still exists. And also it's very evidentful, so there is a lot of backed evidence in accordance to what they write about in this book, and it's been banned a couple of times. So I think that it would be a very interesting read for you, and it's all about going back inwards, inwards to
Yeah.
the rawest part of yourself. And I like to do at dinner parties or workshops some very raw question cards, or something like that, where people pull out random questions that they'd never think of talking about. And this is for anyone who runs workshops, but a really good way of empowering people to use their voice is putting them in a situation where the question is a surprise, and they can either say, sorry, I can't answer that, or they could go, actually, you've just created a safe space for me, maybe I will try and answer that. So just planting the seed where people feel comfortable, and I think that's what you're doing really well.
I love it. Like, yeah, the willingness. So we're coming to the close of this incredible conversation. I'm just going to take your words. Hold my voice, you said. So I would like us to just honor that, to honor in your journey how you've held your voice. And I just seeing the beautiful thing for us all to visualize holding our own voices, like holding them. They're so precious. People don't understand. I started singing at the age of 11, and I taught singing, and I learned all about the structure of the voice. Many people don't even know that the size of it is tiny. How we create this sound, not just for singing but for speaking, and it's a blessing to be able to have this form of communication. And actually, many people don't think before they speak. And we waste so much words and so much energy. So let's all hold our voice, and with your permission, I just feel I'd also like to hold the voices of your ancestors and my ancestors. Is that okay? Yeah, and if people listening would like it as well, so just holding that voice and just honoring it. Let's just do that. Yeah, just recognizing the power to keep our power. As you said, you've had to find so many ways to do that, and that was fascinating to hear those shares. Thanks, Dani. Holding our own voice, the power of it, learning to use it in healthier ways, to up-level our communication, to up-level our own ambitions, to up-level who we are, to talk better in society, into places, but to, as you have really beautifully expressed, that we actually can stand up for ourselves and come out of all the conditioning and reign beautifully in the sound of you, Dani. I've very much enjoyed being in your sound today. Ita rummana ahtahrahta istoroya ista. Oh, yes. The ancients coming in there. Danny, this has been incredible. So, how can people find you? So, I found you at Club Quantum, so you can share a little bit of that. This amazing place that just landed like 2 minutes from where I live in Tunbridge Wells. I was like, what is this about? Like the tenacity, the forward thinking. We're talking about kind of the thought leaders and chain breakers. I'm one of those. I'm breaking the chains of my generational dysfunction, standing up strong, talking out about it. So yeah, where can people find you? How can they connect in with you, your businesses, connect with you?
So I have shared links to my social media with you, which you are more than welcome to share. So Instagram, I am on LinkedIn. That's a busy network, so I'm on and off that one. I think I've given a couple of the websites as well.
Yeah,
I think the easiest ways to find me is probably Instagram, my personal Instagram, or Clubs Quantum Instagram at the moment. I've also got Trippy Panther, which is my CBD and hemp company. And we've got clubsquantum.com, which is a website, which you can find us, being called Quantum, the marriage of spirituality, science, and psychology. So it welcomes people from all different walks of life who either just want a space to sit in where the energy just feels right, or they want to build their community and meet like-minded individuals, or they want a safe space for their birthday or a baby shower or something.
yeah,
So yeah, I can be found in all of these places. And if anybody wants to connect to me personally, I'm happy for them to go through you and your group
yeah,
to get to me. But I feel like if they want to or need to, they will find me one
yeah.
way or another.
We love that. And I
And
want to go on, go on.
just quickly, before we end, I've recommended a book, but there's also a song called I Am My Mother's Savage Daughter, which I will also share with you, which is absolutely phenomenal.
Mm,
I will not cut my hair. And she talks about, walking around barefoot and stomping and things
mm.
like that. So I'll send that to you as well.
Oh yeah, we love that. I will not cut my hair. I'm growing my hair. I had such short hair, and now I'm really embracing this longer hair and
It's
the
amazing.
the femininity. And I love that you said no. It's so powerful to say no. In the last 6 months of my life, I've been saying no so much more, but I'm so happy that you said yes to coming into the Power of Us, and being part of this first event, which is being held at Club Quantum on the 22nd of May. And the tickets go on sale from International Women's Day, of course. We've got our early birds going out. So thank you so much, Dani. It's been an
You're welcome.
absolute
Thank you so much,
pleasure.
Natalie.
Yeah, and for those of you watching, if you want to find out more about the event, you can go into my website, which is nataliefarrell.co. And yeah, I'm on Instagram as well, at cosmic songbird underscore. Bye bye for now.
Thank you. Bye bye, darling.
Bye bye.
Bye.